Welcome to this video. Today we talk about the life cycle of guarantees. Now, guarantees involve three distinct stages: issuance, sometimes amendment, and termination. Issuance and termination will happen in most of the guarantees, and sometimes if it is open-ended, termination also may not happen. If no changes are required, amendment may not happen. In an untoward incident where things go wrong, a claim might happen. Each stage plays a critical role in ensuring the effectiveness, enforceability, and conclusion of the guarantee. Understanding this is essential for the parties involved, the applicant, the beneficiary, and the bank, so as to manage the guarantees efficiently and to avoid disputes. Issuance refers to the guarantee being given life to by the issuing bank or the guarantor. Financial guarantees are legally binding instruments where an issuing bank promises to pay a specified amount to a beneficiary against a complying demand if the applicant fails to meet the obligations as per the underlying contract. The purpose of the guarantee is to mitigate the risk, that is, to provide financial security and assurance to the beneficiary for the potential loss that they may suffer if the applicant fails to perform. The main types are performance guarantee, advance payment guarantee, tender guarantee, warranty guarantee, etc. If the guarantee is properly structured, it will have definitions on what the applicant's obligations are, what are the conditions to be met for the payment, what's the maximum liability amount, in which currency, what is the validity period, when it is effective, etc. These elements work together to create a workable instrument. Issuance refers to creation and delivery of a guarantee to the beneficiary. This is the formal beginning of the liability of the guarantor towards the beneficiary, or the formal beginning of a financial support for the beneficiary. This is the beginning of the guarantee's life cycle. The applicant requests for a guarantee from the bank issues the guarantee. The issuance is called the effectiveness of the guarantee from the issuing bank's angle or the beneficiary's angle. The issuing bank or the guarantor reviews the application of the applicant for the guarantee, reviews the terms and conditions of the guarantee, looks at the creditworthiness, the risk of claim, and other associated risks, and sees whether it is complying with the extant regulations. It also looks at what laws are applicable or what regulatory framework like URDG or ISP is being called upon. Once the guarantee is delivered to the beneficiary, that is, once the guarantee leaves the control of the guarantor, then the guarantee becomes enforceable. The guarantor or the issuing institution is legally bound to give effect to the guarantee from that moment, and then any claims will have to be honored. So once the guarantee is issued, it becomes legally effective, and it serves as a formal security for the beneficiary for the given underlying contract. The issuance stage establishes the foundation for the entire guarantee relationship. So at this stage, the drafting of the guarantee is very important, and all parties will have to be having the same understanding of the terms and conditions of the guarantee so as to prevent future disputes. If parties are not aligned, then the guarantee may not be as enforceable for their respective rights and obligations as understood or expected. Now, once a project is awarded, a construction company for whom a government agency had awarded a contract will approach a bank asking for example, advance payment guarantee and a performance guarantee. The bank will evaluate and issue the instrument, and the instrument will be handed over usually to the beneficiary or sometimes to the applicant. And the moment the guarantee leaves the control of the guarantor, it is enforceable, and this aids the government agency to secure their monetary situation in the given contract. Here, there is a three-way relationship. For example, this construction company who is the applicant, the government agency who is the beneficiary, and the issuing bank, the guarantor. So the parties are looking for assurance that the project will be completed, as well as, in case it is not completed, the monetary loss, if any, that would be incurred can be collected or compensated by way of a claim from the guarantee. Now comes the amendment stage of a guarantee. In an amendment stage, amendments are changes to the terms and conditions of the guarantee. Maybe amount, maybe currency, maybe expiry date, maybe the documents required, maybe the form in which the claim should be. These changes are typically made to manage the evolving underlying changes in the contract. So sometimes there are unforeseen or unexpected circumstances during the currency of the tenancy of the guarantee, during the validity of the guarantee, due to which some changes are required in the text of the guarantee. So project timelines change, the guarantee expiry date needs to be extended, or by mutual consent the three parties agree for some other changes in the agreement or the text. Sometimes amount will have to be increased or decreased to match the changes in the scope of the contract, or sometimes there will be changes to the payment trigger or conditions and provisions according to the circumstances. The amendments are meant to provide flexibility to the guarantee. Amendments are meant to adapt the guarantees to the changing realities of the current scenarios. So there could be challenges when one of the party do not agree to the change. If the beneficiary of the issuing bank does not agree to a change, that change is not applicable to the guarantee. So the amendment to the guarantee will also be subject to uniform rules like ISP or URDG. What are the challenges in the amendment process? Beneficiary may have resistance, or maybe there is a regulatory issue. Beneficiary may resist the changes to reduce the level of security, for example, or amendments post amendment, the guarantee becomes not adequately subject to the applicable laws or the framework like URDG or UCP or ISP. Now beneficiaries resist if their security cover is coming down. The documentary requirement may create a problem either for the beneficiary, or non-requirement may create a problem for the applicant. So the change should be properly articulated and authorized. Regulatory compliance is that the changes may have an impact on the jurisdiction or the laws applicable or the interpretation of certain terms in the guarantee. So the changes should be always in line with or as acceptable to the URDG and ISP 98. Sometimes there are timing constraints, the time pressure, the guarantee date is expiring or the project deadline is expiring, and so you need to extend the guarantee to cover the new tenor. So navigating these challenges requires clear communication between the parties. It also requires some technical expertise. Termination of a guarantee is a final step where the guarantee comes to an end. The life cycle ends. It occurs when obligations have been fulfilled or the validity period has expired. The expiry can be by way of a date or by way of an event. The guarantee terminates automatically when the applicant fulfills their obligation. Sometimes the guarantee terminates when full payment is made. Sometimes the guarantee terminates when the expiry date is crossed. So the guarantee have predefined validity periods. There are some guarantees which are open-ended also. So if the guarantee has an expiry date or an expiry event, and if that date has passed or an event has occurred, then the guarantee will expire. That means the liabilities will terminate. There will be no longer any obligation. Sometimes there is no need for a formal confirmation of the expiry. But to prevent unintended liabilities, termination should be confirmed in writing by all the parties. The issuing institution normally issues a statement that the guarantee is terminated and obligations are no more existing. Sometimes return of the original guarantee may also assist in terminating the guarantee's liability. What are the challenges in termination? Sometimes it is unintended liability, that is failure to confirm may result in guarantee being remaining unenforceable in certain jurisdiction under certain people in their belief or in their understanding. So if the guarantee is not intended to be considered as live for whatever reason, known unknown confusion, beyond its expected period, expected lifespan, then the termination has to be formally legally documented. Sometimes there will be disputes over fulfillment. The beneficiary may dispute whether the applicant's obligation has been adequately met, fully met. So that will delay the termination. So these are the two challenges that you face in a termination of a guarantee. Now at the time of project initiation, an engineering firm, for example, if it is a 100 million infrastructure project, will have to provide a guarantee in favor of the paymaster or the purchaser. If you assume 15%, then $15 million is the worth of the performance guarantee that should be required. During the project, the scope increases and the guarantee value becomes 120 or 130 or 150. Then accordingly, for this increase, the guarantee value will also have to be increased to, for example, 18 million, so that it remains 15% of the project value. Successful delivery leads to formal guarantee termination. Successfully return of the guarantee by the paymaster to the issuing bank will lead to guarantee formally getting terminated. What are the benefits of managing the life cycle of a guarantee? Strategic advantage is that securing contracts, financial optimization so that lower cost depending upon the tenor or the amount only, risk mitigation so that parties are protected against unintended liabilities, relationship management. Better we manage the guarantee life cycle and the financial support, better is the relationship between buyer, seller and their bank. On the top of everything, it is the operational efficiency, because processes need to be streamlined to reduce the burden on administration. The key takeaways are clear documentation, stakeholder alignment, proactive management and regulatory compliance are the requirements for any guarantee life cycle. All the communications needs to be documented, all parties needs to agree to the same thing in the same sense. There should be regular communication and expectation should be set to prevent misunderstandings. Anticipate the amendment needs and accordingly prevent last minute scrambles. Ensure guarantees are always subject to the internationally accepted framework like URDG or ISP. By implementing these, corporates can transform the guarantee relationship between the bank, the buyer and the seller into least burdensome and most useful experience. Thanks for watching this video.